back with us in the paddock at Kuala Lumpur. What an eventful Grand Prix that was. Let me just confirm the result for you. The second race of F1 2005. Fernando Alonso wins for Renault. Brilliant drive by the young Spaniard. Jarno Trulli second for Toyota. They brought 3,000 bottles of water here to Malaysia. They floated up onto that podium for the first time. Nick Heidfeld, his first podium for Williams. Heidfeld, the top German here today. Enough said. Montoya, very steady drive from Juan Pablo in the McLaren fourth. Ralf Schumacher, second Toyota home in fifth place. David Coulthard beats Nigel Mansell, 483 World Championship points against 482, the top F1 scorer of all time. Another wonderful performance from Red Bull Racing. Klein, most improved driver of the season, makes his point. Michael Schumacher, 2 out of 20 so far. And Fernando Alonso is our new World Championship leader on 16 points. Fisichella with his 10 that he scored in Melbourne. Trulli and Barrichello, Montoya, Coulthard all on 8 points. Heidfeld has 6 and Mark Webber and Ralf Schumacher both on 4 points. Let's take a look at the Constructors' Championship. Renault are off and flying, 26 points. Toyota, my goodness me, they'll like the look of that table in second place. Red Bull Racing, brilliant start to their career, third. Ferrari and BMW Williams down in fourth. McLaren have 9 points. Sauber, Jordan, VAR and Minardi yet to get off the mark. Heck of a good Grand Prix, that one, wasn't it?
That's a fantastic race. I think that's one of the best races we've seen in many years, Jim.
You have to look at the new regulations and give them a thumb up for the action that they gave us, but VAR, we were there in the garage and their faces fell. Both drivers out early on. Great sympathy for Jenson Button and Anthony Davidson, the rookie.
Well, I think a big knock on the head for Jenson, because we all knew that this year was an important year for him. But, you know, the situation has really been that the guys have struggled all weekend with an engine problem, and as soon as he got into the race, the engine let go. You see that small plume of smoke what comes from the rear of the car. They talked about the engine getting pressurised, some positive pressure in there with the crankcase, and I think that's what happened. Anthony Davidson, what can you say? The guy gets an opportunity. He just doesn't have a chance to do anything with it. The engine lets go. It's a big fire there. Obviously terminal at the end of the day for that, but you know, great shame for him.
It's very tough for him because it would appear that Takuma Sato will be back in Bahrain and that could be his great chance gone.
Yeah, but that's racing, you know, and at the end of the day somebody might get injured or something down the pit lane and Anthony might have another chance.
Another couple of instances. Kimi Raikkonen was just starting to make a move in the Grand Prix, wasn't it? We wondered about the tyres before the race. His rear tyre went out and Villeneuve spun off, and I think your man Martin said it could be spinning off the end of his career almost.
Well, there's a lot of pressure building on Villeneuve. It's been here all weekend and we've seen a lot of it in the press as well. But this situation with Kimi Raikkonen, loses the carcass on the rear tyre there, and then he's just a passenger trying to maintain in the car in terms of balance to get it round back to the pit lane. It's a very tough thing to do. You've got an unweighted car. Here we got Villeneuve. He seems that he gets on the left side of the white line actually and just loses the rear, spins it round. But this is the 1997 world champion. We just don't expect this kind of performance, and that's the problem at the moment. Villeneuve is getting a lot of pressure built up.
It's been a really grim comeback so far for Jacques Villeneuve, the former world champion. People are going to say, what do you make of Webber? What do you make of Fisichella? We don't really want to apportion blame, do we? Because I think you find it hard to have either one driver at fault in this instance.
I think it's a classic racing situation. I think you've got to take in all the ingredients, what went into the move. The situation for me is I think Fisichella was in trouble, and obviously that's why Webber was tabbing him. He was getting on the backside of him. We come into this corner here. Fizzy just keeps his line, but actually starts to drift and loses grip from the rear of his car. And unfortunately for Webber, who's maintaining a nice, strong line, he just gets collected in. Watch here, look, Fizzy's going in. He's got the front end of his car going into the corner. He loses the rear end, starts to slide, collects Webber's rear end, and Mark just doesn't know what's happening at that point. I mean, there's not much they can do. Once they're connected, they're both passengers.
They're both going to see the stewards before they get on the plane home. Do you believe the stewards will say racing incident?
Oh, for sure. I don't see how they can say anything different.
The drivers were sharply away from the podium. They've gone to the press conference.
Fernando, it looked today as if you had to win 2 races, once against your opposition and another against the conditions out there.
Yeah, it was very tough conditions, as we knew before I started the race, and unfortunately the drink bottle didn't work, so half a race had problems, and I finished on the limit for the hydratation.
The car, over that distance, it looked faultless, but what was it like in the cockpit?
Yeah, it was okay. I saved a little bit tires at the beginning, thinking that the first stint maybe was the most risky time for the rear tires. And then after that, I saw that Jarno was slowing down a little bit, so I slowed down as well, save more tires, and the last stint was just low revs and saving tires again. So I was not pushing really hard in any part of the race, but the car was very easy to drive and really easy.
Those last closing laps in this heat must have seemed very long.
Yeah, not only the last. I think the last 15 or 20 laps were very long, and the same for everybody always here in Japan. But maybe more if you are in P1. You are very close to win the race. It's the second race for the engine and for the car, and you are a little bit worried, obviously. But everything was perfect, and the team show again that we are the team to beat.
Congratulations, a fantastic drive. Jarno, congratulations to you too. First ever podium finish for the Panasonic Toyota team. Tried to hold on to Fernando there in the early laps. Tell us about that, and then as the race progressed.
I had an extremely good start, but again, the Renault seems getting away pretty well. Anyway, I drove my race. I was quite competitive. I was following Fernando. But at one stage, I could see that there was no matches, and I started managing the race, taking care of the tires. During the first race, I had a tire problem, and then I just managed to finish the race. I think I was pretty easy in second position, pulling away, controlling people from the pit. They kept telling me to slow down, so it's fantastic to bring the first podium finish to Toyota.
In these conditions, the more so, using this engine now for 2 Grand Prix, the tyres for the full distance, how near to the limit were you towards the end?
Let's say that we were quite comfortable on reliability, even if in this condition it's always terrible. I think Marmorini has done, and all his crew has done a fantastic job over the winter time in reliability stuff. But I think half race I started pulling down the revs and try to slow down and taking care of the tires. And also heat was really hard for the driver's side, and for this I have to thank Ceccarelli, because he treated me with infusion as I was sick at the beginning of this week.
A wonderful drive, congratulations to Nick. Been quick all weekend, but 10th on the grid up to 3rd place, a fabulous race for you, and you don't actually look that sweaty or hot.
No, it was very hot. I mean, as usual in hot races, as Fernando just said, also my drink bottle failed. It's always on the places where you don't want it to happen from the beginning on. And other than probably those 2 guys, I had to push very hard, as I was only 10th on qualifying, because I did a mistake in Q2, and I thought that cost me the race, but I had a very good start and some good overtaking maneuvers.
They have earned their money today. One moment summed up what a crazy race this was at time. Trulli, in the Toyota, laps Michael Schumacher's Ferrari.
Oh, what a picture that shows us. I mean, there we've got the current world champion and a team in decline at the moment, and we've got the other guy here, Trulli. Everybody's been saying he's a one-lap specialist. Well, he's proved everyone wrong today. Fantastic performance, and a team on the incline. Toyota have been under immense pressure, Jim. They've been really getting the collars felt by Japan. Mike Gascoigne, a happy chap.
They really needed this result here today, didn't they? Because people were looking very closely at Mike Gascoigne in particular.
Yeah, well, Mike Gascoigne had a big move, came with big money behind him as one of the big designers. Now he's proved himself in the pit lane.
How about our winner, Fernando Alonso? You're going to be champion, they said to him on the radio, I think. Do you go along with that?
Well, I tell you, Martin Brundle said in the commentary, champion-elect, and I think this is a guy we've seen only a couple of seasons ago do a fantastic race in the Hungaroring, flag-to-flag finish. He's done the same thing today, but this time he's got a car underneath him, which I think is going to be good all season long.
He's a remarkably cool fellow, isn't he, even in the heat of Malaysia?
He is. I mean, he's a great guy, and he's doing a lot of good for Formula One.
Good, Mark. Thank you very much indeed. Let me just point you towards ITV Sport at the moment. We are at the Hong Kong Sevens as well, the Rugby World Cup Hong Kong Sevens. They are building towards a climax, and that is over on ITV2 as we speak. Your weekly taste of the championship comes up this afternoon at 2:15, and that leads us nicely into our rerun from all of us here in Malaysia. The full story of the Rugby World Cup Sevens, you can catch that right here on ITV1 at 11:15 tonight, and that comes up before our Grand Prix highlights. And now next Sunday, make a date from 2 as we welcome aboard the 151st boat race to ITV Sport. Don't know what was going on below the surface, hardly a ripple on track. disturb Fernando Alonso's weekend. Cheerio.
F1 on ITV, sponsored by LG.
If you'd like to know more about Formula One, the website sponsored by LG is itv.com/F1.